Hey everyone, it's John Brown, the one and only Bandana Gamer, coming to you today with a collaboration video with one of the greatest YouTubers of all time, Linda, aka the Gamer Girl. One of my favorite people to talk to, one of my good friends in the community. We also have a shared love of Power Rangers. I love hearing her videos where she talks about Power Rangers, especially her love for the first SNES game. And I love that we tweet each other when we see things going on in the Power Rangers fandom. It is just a really cool, and I'm super glad for this opportunity to do a collaboration video with her on our shared passion. If you've watched this channel, you know I am a huge fan of Power Rangers. And today, we're going to talk about some of our favorite memories involving the show. Some game related and some just related to the awesome experiences we had with the show as kids. Now, I'm going to start us off and I'm going to talk about my memory of how I got my first Power Rangers toy. I remember I was in love with this show from the get-go. Before it even premiered, I saw the commercials on Fox Kids and I was just ready to go. The Saturday it premiered, I was at my friend Kelsey's house and we watched it. I think it was about 9 a.m. and I was hooked. Day of the Dumpster was just the greatest thing in my mind. It was like live action Voltron and the colors and the fighting. It was so cool. It was cheesy, but it was cheesy in such a cool way. And I just loved that show. And I talked about it constantly. Anything I could get my hands on. I remember us being at the grocery store and getting the Disney Adventures magazine that had the Power Rangers on the cover and then the interview inside. Such a cool experience. I remember ordering the VHS of Day of the Dumpster from the Scholastic Book Fair and the day it got there. But one thing, if you remember that time, it was really, really hard to find Power Ranger toys. They were flying off the shelves. And I really wanted one as a kid, but I understood, like, my mom couldn't magically make one appear out of thin air. And so my mom looked really, really hard, and my cousin, my youngest cousin at the time, but we've gotten younger ones since, was also really into the show. And so my aunt, her mom, and my mom teamed up and were calling each other. My aunt lived in Tennessee, my mom lived in Georgia, and they were constantly in contact to see if they could find them. And one day my aunt found two, and we were meeting up for a beach trip, and we drove down and we met my aunt. And my aunt had found the Black Ranger and the Red Ranger, and she had given my cousin the Black Ranger. And when we got to the hotel we were staying at, my aunt handed me a wrapped package, and inside was a Red Ranger figure. And I was so stoked to have that Red Ranger. It was my first Power Ranger toy. Now, there would be later ones to come across later in life. I'd get a couple Megazords here and there, but this one was my first. Now, this isn't actually my first. I found this one at a yard sale. Box is a little beat up, but I've kept it. I wanted it just to remind me of that experience because the original one I had got beat up. I played with that thing so hard. The paint rubbed off, but I just loved that toy, and it was such a cool experience. And the cool thing now, looking back on as an adult, that toy just reminded me of the amazing people that loved me. My aunt for searching, my mom for searching, and what they did and how they poured in to make sure me and my cousins had such an amazing childhood. And I'm just really thankful for them, for getting me these toys of heroes. But now, even then though, they themselves were my heroes. So that is my first favorite Power Rangers memory, was my aunt rolling down to St. Simon's Island and pulling out my first Power Rangers toy, the Red Ranger. So now I'm going to kick it over to Linda for her to share with you some of her favorite Power Ranger memories.
Hey everybody, thank you Bandana Gamer. I want to first say thank you for doing a collab with me. This was an awesome idea, so we're going to tackle two beautiful memories in one, and we're going to jump right into it. So the first one is going to be actually fairly recent. I remember, I've played, I don't know how many off the top of my head, video games as far as Power Rangers, because I've played a lot. But you gotta go back to the classic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Super Nintendo. This was one of the first games I ever had when I was growing up. and I never could one credit clear it or no death run it. It was the end boss in the Zord was my hardest to ever get to. I could get the patterns down, get to the end, and go through the very end and just get demolished. I would go through so many credits and I could never beat it. Well, recently I was just sitting down, bored, gonna play it again for the 10th, 20th time, and I played it, and it was last year. And last year I got through it, and I'm like, I'm doing really well. I only got knocked out once, so I might actually get through this. And I get to the end, and I get to the very end of the Megazord. And for those who don't know, the reason why the Megazord is so hard to beat is because there's two forms, two different styles of Megazord. And you don't know what's going to happen in each one. It's random, it's all over the place, and you have to go through it. So when I got to the part, I'm like, oh snap, here we go. So I'm battling through, I'm getting through, he's destroying me for a little bit, then I finally figure out the pattern, I get it going, and I get to the next part. I'm like, oh, here we go. This is down to the crunch. I'm halfway, and I'm barely gonna, I have to take no hits. So I get through, I'm battling through, and he is, right there. He's about to be done, and I'm like, oh, I hate this part. I hate when I'm halfway, and the other person's, a third of a quarter, because the AI takes over and starts kicking my little derriere, and I'm, battling. I'm at this point jumping. I'm doing every little thing. You can see me, I'm just, gritting my teeth. I'm going through it, and finally, I see that slash, and that's a dramatic slash of... I kid you not. I was jumping up and down. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I wasn't recording this at the time because I thought, I'll play it again. It won't be that big of a deal. I have never in my life done so much acrobatics in 5 seconds. It was really crazy. So to have it finally one credit cleared, one of the games that I've been trying my hardest to one credit clear for the longest time, I can now say I took that off my bucket list. So I can say, as far as is a childhood game, I've run credit cleared other games and just thought, oh, okay. But this one is because of the fact that I think because I was a child and I was just like, this is on my bucket list. I think that's what it mattered more to me than any other thing. So we'll jump straight into the second memory. Now, this is for the TV show. For the longest time, I've been a Power Ranger fan, and I've seen every single season up until recently. I heard that, they're going to start maybe possibly ending the show, just for some reason, I'm not sure. But I looked back through all the seasons, and I looked through everything, and it's a lot to go through because it's 20 plus years of my life of, watching the show and just keeping up with it, even though I'm not a diehard fan of the current seasons right now because they're off and on, some are good, some are bad. And I had to go back to the beginning, the very first season, and that was the episode with Trini. There is an episode where I don't know if it's a two-parter or what it is, but it's basically, no, I think it's one-parter. And it's basically where Trini is battling and she's scared of heights. She's going through it and and at the time, as a kid, that was my favorite Power Ranger. So anytime anything happened to her, I would be on the edge. I'm like, no, don't get hurt. Don't do anything. Of course, my child mind doesn't realize that this is pre-recorded and it's going to be so okay. But she's running through and she's scared of heights and she's trying to figure this out. And I liked how they did the episode. I liked how they made it to where it was the whole focal point of the episode, because I've seen a lot of episodes where, oh, okay, it's on the back burner, they're scared of something, this is what's going on, you have to deal with it and move on. But this was literally part of the show. She was working up until that point where you thought nothing can phase her. She was okay. What's going on? And to hear that she's scared of heights randomly out of nowhere, it's like, whoa. So she is human. Okay. And then the character at that point is battling through. And to me, that right there shows that she's a badass. She can get through something that is a lot of people's fear, too. Now, mind you, I'm not scared of heights. I'm scared of the falling. I can go up any ride or anything like that, but just to see how they beautifully shot this, it wasn't overdone. And sadly, the actress who plays Trini passed away when she was doing the movie Crow, for those who don't know. And she was she was a badass, elegant woman who was good at martial arts, was good at a lot of things, and I liked how she portrayed Trini. Like, I can't see anybody else doing the character Trini. And for me, I could have thought of like Aisha, and I could have thought of a couple other characters like throughout the seasons, but you gotta go with the original Yellow Ranger. And to see that episode is such a good one. You definitely gotta find it. I got it on VHS like a long time ago when I was younger, but that's one thing I remember, and it has stuck with me forever. Like, it has made me remember that, cheesy as corny as it is, you can get through anything. It's just one of those things where you have to remember that as much as something is scaring you, as much as something is bothering you, you can battle through it. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And there you have it. 2 awesome memories, one recent, one when I was a kid. And that is where I will end my part of the video. I am going to bring it back to Bandana Gamer.
Thanks, Linda. Those are some awesome stories. And thank you, Thuy Trang, Trini, for what you did. We miss you. You were just such an awesome presence in so many of our lives as the character Trini. And really appreciate all you did, and we miss you. So, coming back, my favorite Power Ranger video game is one that is completely nostalgia based. The game is, probably if I was objective, okay, it's a good game, or it's a fine game. Not the greatest in the world, but it is one that is connected to so many happy memories for me, and that is Power Rangers on Game Boy. I loved my Game Boy. My Game Boy just went so many places with me, except the dinner table. It was never allowed at the dinner table. But it would go with me to my dad's on the weekends. When my mom had meetings at the church where she worked, I would, probably be in her office sometimes playing. And I played Power Rangers so much. I got this game for my birthday, and I loved it. Even on a black and white screen where the Rangers didn't change colors and really the characters weren't that different from each other. It's still, like, the little pose sequences they did before the game started was just awesome. And then to plug it into your Super Game Boy and get there's a weird border around the game. Like, it's analog switches and stuff, and I guess that's supposed to be the Megazord control panel. And then there's like a neon sign that says Mighty Morphin Power Rangers at the top. It's kind of weird, but then the colorization with what they did on the Super Game Boy, you would get pictures, group shots of them all in color, and the Power Rangers would be the right corresponding colors. And when you chose the Power Rangers, they themselves would then be in the right color, and then the level itself, because the Game Boy and the Super Game Boy had limited palettes, the levels would be the corresponding color. So all the Pink Rangers levels would be pink and stuff like that. But I just ate this game up. I loved it. When I remember distinctly when Lord Zed rolled out, in my mind, those are Lord Zed putties in the game, even though they were like the old style, just because, like, in my mind, I was able to just picture it as an updated version and update it myself in my imagination, as silly as that sounds. But I loved and adored this game, played it so much. Oddly enough, I don't think I beat it until recently, like a few weeks ago. I don't know if I ever could get that far as a kid or what, but when I beat it, it was such an amazing experience just to have that moment and have this one checked off on the game's beaten list. But if you haven't played this and you're a Power Ranger fan, I definitely recommend checking this out. It's a fun, like, little side-scrolling action beat 'em up, and it's just such a little fun nostalgia rant. And that's going to do it for this one, and I will catch you in the next ones, my friends. Once again, thank you to Linda, aka The Gamer Girl. If you are not subscribed to her channel, make sure you go over there right now, there is a link in the description below. Subscribe to her channel. If you like this kind of content, Power Rangers, retro video games, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button, and I will catch you in the next one, my friends. Peace.